Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how we finish off fabricating the rear inner rocker here and make these flanges and make it all come together. So obviously you've seen before, this is the monstrosity that came off, but this is still very useful to take measurements and guides from for the new piece. So let's get over to the bench and I'll show you. It's all pretty simple. I'm just using simple tools, hammer, clamps, bits of metal what I've got lying around to get my proper bends in the correct position. So let me take you over to the bench and I'll show you how we get started. This is not the full length because I just kind of hacked it off. We've got to measure our length, but we do need to get these flanges on. Okay, these bends here for the spot welding, and this back flange which intersects with the inner wheelhouse, and it's got a little step here where the other triangular piece comes in. You remember that triangular piece comes in, and then underneath here we've got a little flange here as well. I've already done one bend on the top of this guy, measuring from this distance to the edge of the bend and fabricating that and lifting that up. We do have to make this bend here, which I won't do just yet, but what I want to do on camera is this over here. So we got the two bends. So I'll clamp it up on the bench and then I'll show you. I do cut a little bit of the waste off so you're not moving too much metal. So let me mark it out and then cut it and bend it. Right, I've marked it out. This is our waste area. So I like to put a piece of scrap steel here so I can make a nice straight cut. Check at our measurements. And then what I do is I've just got this bar that goes in under here so I can clamp it to the bench here. And you do have to move the clamps a little bit. I mean, obviously if you've got a metal brake, it'll make it easier, but you might have trouble because this might end up being in the way. So this is, I don't have one of those, so it's kind of more fun to figure it out with simple tools anyway, I think. As I say, I like to pre-cut that waste off. It saves you fighting a bunch of metal. It's gentle tap, so I'll just show you finishing off this little bit here. You'll hear the hammer tone change. There we go. Right. Now we're going to have to figure out our flange. Our flange here, and where is it? See this little stepped area here? So I just got to measure here to here and fold up, which is 5/8 flange. Let's just do it after there. Bend that up, weld up. Just do it freehand, I guess. You can hear that tone change. There we go. I guess we'll weld that. Well, actually, I'm not going to weld that up just yet because we might want to be able to flex these and position them on the car, you know. So let's leave that unwelded right now. you know, this is where we'll get our spot welds through. So next thing we've got to figure out, so this is inside the car obviously, and this is the upper wheel arch comes down, but down here it kind of arches. It goes straight and then kind of curves in a bit. So one thing I'm going to do is cut that curvature out and then weld in a flange like this on the curve. So let's go and get a profile of the form that we've got to follow, and then it's just a question of cutting it out. So I figure we've got to bring down this, there's the arch, obviously it's curved here, but it goes pretty straight here, so I'm just going to transfer this flange mark down to the bottom. Oh, my mistake actually. It looks like I was a bit thrown off here. See this curved flange here, right? That is from our triangular section. This is actually a piece that someone's toshed on here, and that does follow because it's that far further in. Now, on closer inspection, through all this rusty crap here, this isn't part of the inner rocker, if you can see. If you can see just here, I don't know whether you can see that. A little difficult to show you. But there is a step just like here, so I'm just going to replicate this here, which makes it a lot easier. So yeah, in closer inspection, when I took the measurements, the profile was taken from the join of the two wheelhouses over to the curve, and then when I offered it up to here where our flange is, see the curve starts afterwards. Do you get what I mean? So that makes it easier. We'll just replicate this on the bottom here. So cool. That's it. Right, so our flanges and our step, I'm going to shave this little bit of metal off so I don't cut myself, and then all we've got to do now is cut our length, and then we're going to do our doubling plate again, as well as butt joining, even though in the factory all they did was spot weld on the extension, 4-inch extension for the SEL model. So but we're going a little step further. We're going to back it, spot weld and butt weld it. So what I did just to cut us nice and true here is I put a bracket here, clamped it so we can then run the grinder around using the bracket as a straight edge, and I took the guard off so we could travel the full circumference of the rocker here. It gives us a nice clean cut, and then what we'll do, we'll weld our little doubling plate on here, and because we've got our reinforcement bar up here, we'll have to spot weld from below, which is not a big deal. So let's think. So remove that guy and check our measurements, our length on our rocker, and see how we are. Right, okay, so I did fiddle around with the length a little bit, just trimming it down because I do want a little bit of gap to weld through to our doubling plate on this side. So you want it tight. There we go. Okay, so let me get one of these ones. These ones are great. These deep throat clamps with the big pads on them. They're great. I like those. So that can just hold that in there. Get that nice and level. Sorry about your ears. Right, let me get you in close. That's roughly in place. I've got to do a little bit of jimmying around, but I'll get you in closer and show you what I've got here. So there it is. There's the triangular section intersecting it. I've already made a mark here. This is going to get cut off and replaced because this is all naff underneath here. This is where it dives in, so I've got a reference point on my inner rocker. So our next task is to cut this piece off, make our cardboard template of this inner rocker, and let me dive underneath and I'll show you what we've got to do under there. But all the tabs have lined up nicely, as you can see there, and our corner one here. I showed in my short video there's still a little tension on here, so this needs to be tapped. You don't want, when you cramp this, to move this at all. This has got to stay absolutely still for alignment purposes for the rear door. So let me dive underneath and I will show you what we've got going on under there in the upcoming videos. Alright, there you go. So a nice new piece. You can see there's a little rust here. This is all good metal here, so I'll cut this and dive over there, and then we'll do a backing plate again on this and take it all the way. I'll go that way in a sec. And then this piece here is the one that overlaps the inner rocker, and if you can see, that's that little curve thing I was talking about. See, it's past the rocker, so that's the secondary one. This little protection plate for this suspension rod that goes up there, I've got to cut that off. I'll probably make a new one of that because that's all been bashed in, and I'll just make a new one of that. It's pretty easy. And then we've got to break it from the dog leg there. See that dog leg? We've got to break it from there and then re-spot weld through, and then further up, see where it's all naffed up there, we're gonna, let me set the light. So our patch is going to be doubled behind this, because this is good metal up here and this is where it's bad. So we'll go an inch or so up from there and then go all the way up, see a little out of shot there, and then wrap round and then have a flange here that goes all the way, right? So we'll rebuild this section, get all that tidied up, right? And then we'll do that big inner wheel arch patch that runs the full length of the wheel arch, that gets rid of all those horrible patches that I showed you in the previous video. So yeah, this isn't too bad. It looks horrible, but now we've got the rotisserie. I won't be doing this on my back. I'll be rotating the car around. And let me get back out. And before we go much further, okay, so I've removed the quarter panel here to reveal some more damaged metal on the inner wheel arch. Now, I'm not too worried about this because I've got my scrap car and I've been cleaning the wheel arch from that one, so I'm going to be able to replace that straight on, which is really nice, and replace all this, save me fabricating all that. Now I've got to come to a point where the car comes off the rotisserie. It's partially off the rotisserie and on these stands right now, because before we get the quarter panel off ready to fit the new quarter panel, we've got to make sure everything is kind of loose and not on the rotisserie. And I showed you in the short video, but those of you who didn't see that, basically these cross members here, these steel cross members attached to two anchor points in the rear here, and I'm going to have a post, not this one but similar post, with a 2x2 steel going down to what I'm going to show you in just a sec. Okay, so these are going to be in line pretty much with where the axle of the car will be. Okay, so all the weight will be on these, and then at the front I've left these receivers in the subframe mount areas, and then a steel bar will go in there down to the ground to these two pieces here. To these guys, these are receiving beams, right, that I've made up, one for the front, one for the back, and then those steel bars will go into these, right, and then I've got leveling bolts here, because obviously the garage floor isn't true level, but I'll put a spirit level on these two, front and back, and then level them with these big 3/4 inch bolts there. So then the car is sitting true and level before we're doing any panel alignment, door checking, because we're going to be working from the back to the rear door, to the front door, and then finally the fenders and then the hoods, you see. So because these are fixed points, this is a fixed point. Once this in, there's no adjustment, right? So we're going to work from the back to the front, making sure all our rockers and everything is all lined up properly, because Oliver did mention that, and I hadn't mentioned it up to this point, but I made these up the other week, or not the other week, the other day. So that's the solution for somebody that doesn't have one of those fancy frame racks. Take the tension off, but I will leave these attached, but it won't have any tension on. I'll just relax it down to shift the weight here, if you get my meaning. Oh, I think it's it for this video. Please let me know if you like this new kind of format. I'm keeping the videos a little shorter, but trying to pack in as much detail as possible, rather than doing a 40-minute video where people get a little burned out. And this is obviously going on a long time. This, you know, started off this series with floor pan removal, and that obviously led to these major repairs that I knew we had anyway. Can't go throwing the floor pans in yet until all of this is taken care of. So let me know what you think. And so I think that is it for this one. I'm going to have a beer now. Cheers. And go and put my feet up. Alright, have a good one, guys. Please hit like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Alright, cheers. Bye bye.